Imagine for a moment that the legends of old are not myths, but echoes of a terrifying reality where the earth itself groaned under the weight of beings who should never have existed. We are not speaking of men, but of monsters born from the forbidden union of divine watchers and human daughters, a bloodline of giants that once dominated our world and challenged the very throne of God. This is the lost chapter of history, the dark era of the Nephilim, where angels became demons and paradise turned into a slaughterhouse, forcing the Creator to wash the slate clean with a global cataclysm. But before we descend into this ancient abyss to uncover the secrets of the Watchers, please take a moment to subscribe, smash that like button, and share this video to help Bible Mysteries Africa bring these hidden truths to light. What you are about to witness is not just a story of judgment, but a cosmic war for the soul of humanity, a saga of seduction, power, and the ultimate divine intervention that silenced the screams of the giants forever. So fasten your seatbelts, because the true history of the flood is about to begin. Have you ever looked at the world around you and wondered why there is so much chaos, why the shadows seem to lengthen, and why the battle between good and evil feels so very real? My brothers and sisters, what if I told you that the struggles we face today are echoes of a war that began long before the flood, a time when the boundary between the spiritual and the physical was broken by forbidden desire? Welcome, beloved, to a journey into the deep mysteries of God, a story that has been whispered for thousands of years, a warning from the ancient past that speaks directly to our hearts today. Before we unlock this seal of history and reveal the terrifying truth of the Nephilim, I want to invite you to join this growing family of truth seekers. Please, take a moment right now to click that subscribe button for Bible Mysteries Africa, like this video, and share it with your family and friends, for we are building a community that fears the Lord and seeks His wisdom. What you are about to hear is not a fable. It is a revelation of what happens when the created tries to take the place of the Creator, a story of the Watchers who fell from glory. Imagine, if you can, the absolute silence of the universe before the first sunrise, a time when there was no sound, no voice, only the holy breathing of newborn creation. In that beginning, the darkness was torn apart by sparks of divine light, revealing the golden immensity of the cosmos, and from His high throne, the Almighty looked down upon the blue planet emerging from chaos, bathed in rivers of silver and crystal seas. It was a masterpiece, a living song of purity and perfection. God spoke, His voice grave as thunder yet soft as the wind, commanding the earth to produce life and placing man upon it to dwell in innocence. It was a paradise, my people, a place where the heart of man knew no sin. But we must remember that the enemy is always watching, and temptation often comes disguised as beauty. High above in the firmament, thousands of resplendent beings, the Watchers, observed the earth. They were angels created to serve and protect, yet as they looked down, they did not just see the glory of God. They saw the daughters of men. A fire was kindled in their eyes, a strange and forbidden brilliance, a desire that they could not or would not contain. Among these angels there was one named Semyaza, the wisest but also the most restless, a leader who let pride cloud his wisdom. One fateful night on Mount Hermon, while the clouds grew dense and the winds roared like a warning between the cliffs, Semyaza gathered 200 of his brethren. Under the light of a moon that seemed to tremble with doubt, he spoke with a firm voice, planting the seeds of rebellion. "Brothers," he said, "do you see what is below us? The daughters of men are beautiful, and life pulses in them with the very spark of the Creator. I desire to know them." A murmur of fear ran through the group, for they knew the holiness of the Most High. Azazel, his face burning with an inner fire, asked the question that should have stopped them: "Do you desire to challenge the will of the Most High?" But Semyaza, blinded by lust disguised as curiosity, replied, I do not desire evil, but rather to understand the love he denied us. If we descend, we will know what it is to be flesh. Oh, brethren, how often does sin present itself as a search for knowledge? The silence on that mountain was heavy, until one by one they extended their hands and made a pact, swearing not to return to heaven until they fulfilled the desires of their hearts. The wind roared, the mountain shook as if the earth itself was terrified, and 200 angels fell like burning stars, tearing through the horizon to land on the soil of men. When they touched the ground, they took human form, appearing as kings with high statures and flaming eyes. The earth trembled beneath their feet, and the daughters of men, innocent and unaware, marveled at their supernatural beauty. The watchers took wives, and in doing so they broke the laws of nature and spirit. They taught humanity the secrets of the sky. They planted gardens and built towers. But this union was an abomination. From this forbidden love, the Nephilim were born, children who grew with terrifying speed, possessing luminous eyes and strength that no man could match. In a short time they became giants, and the earth began to groan under their weight. These were not protectors, they were devourers. They hunted everything that moved, dominating the flocks and the soil, and men, weak and unable to resist such power, began to worship them as gods. Semyaza, now dressed in royal linen and crowned with gems, looked at his work and boasted, "We created something grand. The sky fears us, and the earth reveres us." But Azazel, seeing the hunger in the eyes of their children, warned him, "What we created, brother, is our ruin, for they have no limit, and their hunger is infinite." And how true that was. The Nephilim devoured the harvest. They ate the labor of men, and when there was no food left, they turned their terrible hunger against humanity itself. Blood began to run through the valleys, and the mountains echoed not with songs of praise, but with screams of despair. The sweet perfume of flowers was replaced by the metallic odor of iron and death. The sky darkened, God's thunder sounded in the distance, and an invisible voice declared that the spirit of man would not remain forever. Yet, the madness continued. Semyaza saw his ancient wings burning in his memory, but he could not stop the avalanche of sin. The earth became a mirror of glory and horror. The Nephilim grew taller, their voices shaking the mountains like thunder. Cities bowed to them, offering sacrifices. The fallen angels taught men to sin with skill. Azazel revealed the secrets of war, teaching men to forge swords and shields from iron and bronze, bringing bloodshed to the peaceful plains. Others taught sorcery and the casting of spells. Semyaza stood atop his temple, watching the civilization of men rot even as it flourished. "We gave them knowledge," he claimed. But Azazel replied, "We gave them destruction. Brothers killed brothers, kings devoured kingdoms, and the giants drank the blood of the innocent." In the midst of this chaos, the giant Og, son of Semyaza, stood colossal in a crown of bones, shouting that the world belonged to them, that their blood was divine. The crowd cheered, blind to their own doom, while the watchers stood in silent guilt. Time passed, and the hunger of the giants grew so great that they consumed the flocks, the harvests, and finally, when the land was stripped bare, they turned against the men who worshipped them, tearing apart the very people they had enslaved. Themselves, the giants turned against the very humanity that had once bowed before them in reverence, and the land became a slaughterhouse where the hunters became the hunted, and the soil drank the blood of its children. Entire villages were not just destroyed, they were erased from the map, crushed under footprints that were as large as lakes, leaving behind only dust and the echoing silence of the grave. Blood did not just flow, it surged through the valleys like a crimson river, dyeing the fresh waters of the earth until the rivers ran red with the life of the innocent, a horrifying testimony to the betrayal of the fallen ones. Mothers wept, but their tears were drowned out by the gnashing of teeth, for the skies had turned a permanent mournful grey. and the light of the sun, once so warm and inviting, seemed to flee from the earth in shame, refusing to shine upon such wickedness. In every city, desperation drove men to madness, and they erected idols of the fallen angels, statues with broken wings and eyes made of cold gold, hoping to appease the monsters that devoured them. Oh, the tragedy of man, fearing the punishment of these false gods, went so far as to sacrifice their own children, offering the fruit of their womb to the destroyers of their world. But there is a limit to all things, my brethren, and even the patience of the Spirit has an end. One night, under the pale, trembling light of a moon that seemed afraid to shine, Semyaza, the leader of the rebellion, climbed the mountain again, his heart heavy with a dread he could not name. The wind cut through the air like invisible blades, carrying the scent of iron and death from the plains below. He knelt on the cold stone, the former prince of heaven, now a beggar in the dirt, and raised his gaze to the sky he had abandoned. "Lord," he cried out, his voice cracking with a sorrow too late to save him, "if you still hear our voices, forgive us, for we did not seek evil, we only sought to understand what was forbidden." But listen closely, for the scariest thing is not the anger of God, but his silence. There was no answer, no voice from the whirlwind, only distant thunder rolling like the echoes of a wrath that had been contained for too long. Azazel approached him, his eyes burning not with repentance but with the realization of their doom, and he whispered the truth that chills the soul. His silence is the sign of the end. We created monsters, Semyaza, and when the gods fall silent, the punishment has already begun. As these words hung in the freezing air, the horizon began to tremble with the vibration of divine judgment. Lightning crossed the skies, writing sentences of fire in the clouds, and finally an invisible voice boomed, shaking the foundations of the world. "The earth is corrupted before my face. Judgment will come." In the days that followed, the world was seized by omens that terrified even the bravest warriors. The stars lost their shine, blinking out one by one like candles in a storm, and the sea roared against the beaches as if trying to flee its own boundaries. The Nephilim grew restless, sensing a power approaching that not even their brute strength could stop. Yet pride goes before destruction, and Og, the giant king, shouted to the firmament with a foolish bravery, "Let the storms come! No god will destroy the blood of the giants!" But while the wicked boasted far away in the mountains, a righteous man rose in prayer, a man named Enoch, who walked in purity while the world walked in filth. Before we follow Enoch into the heavens to see the throne of glory, I urge you, people of God, to join us on this journey of truth. Click that subscribe button for Bible Mysteries Africa, like this video and share it, for we are revealing the secrets that the enemy wants to keep hidden. The world was no longer the same, and the sky silently began to move as if folding in on itself. The voices of the innocent went up to the sky like a choir of suffering, demanding justice. But high above this darkness, the throne of the Most High resounded among lightning of absolute purity. Countless angels bowed in silence, awaiting the voice that governs everything. Suddenly, an intense light cut the firmament, and a thunder shook the columns of paradise. Archangel Michael, the warrior prince, inclined his armor of light and asked, "Lord, do you want us to exterminate the evil that was born of disobedience?" And the answer came like a burning wind. "The time of mercy has passed. Let the messengers prepare, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, Michael, go and purify the earth." Each archangel received a command that would shake the cosmos. While the heavens moved into battle formation, Enoch slept under the shine of a solitary star, only to find an angel descending before him, wrapped in golden light. "I am Uriel," the angel declared. "Have you seen what the world has become? The blood cries to the sky. Stand up, for you will be a messenger between man and the eternal." In an instant, Enoch was taken by the light, transported to the heavens where he saw the thrones of the angels and the places of judgment. Michael, the commander of the hosts, spoke with the authority of galaxies. Enoch, the Most High grants you the vision of destinies. You will take his word to those who fell. Say to the watchers that there will be no forgiveness. Sent back to earth, Enoch walked to the mount where the pact had been made. Semyaza begged, "Man of God, intercede for us." But Enoch's voice was firm with divine truth. "There is no longer intercession. The sky has decreed your end." Semyaza whispered, "Then what we loved will be the seed of our fall." Enoch walked away, illuminated only by the moonlight, while the roar of the Nephilim continued. The dawn was born silent over a tired earth. In the midst of this desolation, the sky opened again and a voice called his name. "Enoch, go up higher, for I will show you what is hidden from the eyes of men." A whirlwind of light involved him. The ground disappeared under his feet, and he was elevated through the clouds, revealing mountains made of pure crystal and rivers that shone like liquid fire, leading him toward the ultimate destiny of mankind. Liquid fire flowed like rivers around the throne, and angels of indescribable size, with faces covered by the heavy glory of the Lord, bowed in reverence. In the center of this blinding radiance sat the Most High, surrounded by light so pure that no mortal eye could look upon it and live. His voice was the sound of 1,000 rushing waters, a power that vibrated through the very soul of the prophet, and every word made Enoch's heart tremble with holy fear. "Have you seen," the Almighty asked, "what the sons of the sky did on the earth? They brought profane wisdom, they spilled innocent blood, and they corrupted the flesh that I created. The judgment is determined, and it cannot be turned back." Behind the throne, the archangels approached, ready for war. Michael with a sword that flamed with justice, Raphael with eyes of fire and a serene expression of divine order, Gabriel with wings that shone like melted gold, and Uriel, the bearer of the stars. Enoch, overcome by the weight of this presence, prostrated himself, pressing his face against the crystal floor. "Lord," he cried, "your justice is perfect, but what shall I do, who am but dust and ashes before such wrath?" And God replied, "You will be my voice. You will take the final sentence to the fallen." Wrapped in a cloud of divine mystery, Enoch was taken from the heights of glory to a prison of absolute darkness, a place of deep abysses and rivers of fire meandering between black mountains. Inside, the watchers waited, chained in gloom, their eyes dimmed and their faces covered in shame. Semyaza, once a prince of heaven, raised his head. "Enoch," he begged, "intercede one last time, beg for the forgiveness that we lost." But Enoch shook his head with heavy sorrow. "I begged for you before the throne, but your plea was not accepted. The Most High ordered, never will they go up again. Their place will be the abyss until the day in which the eternal flame consumes them." Semyaza wept, and his weeping sounded like thunder rolling through the caverns of hell. "Then let our children also be destroyed," he cried in bitterness. "Let the name of the giants disappear forever." The echo of his voice was lost among the rocks, and from on high, lightning crossed the subterranean sky, tightening the chains as the scream of the fallen angels reverberated through the celestial realms. Back in the firmament, Enoch contemplated the destiny of the Nephilim in terrible visions. He saw armies of giants fighting one another, cities burning, seas dyed with blood, and the sky itself throwing fire onto the earth. A tear fell from his eye, for the world the Creator loved had become a ruin. But Raphael approached, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Your burden is great, man of faith, but do not despair, for there is still a righteous one on the earth. The Most High has already chosen him to build a new era when the waters cover the mountains." "Who is he?" asked Enoch with a trembling voice. "Is his name Noah?" The name hovered in the air like a prophecy of hope. The light around Enoch began to pulse, and time seemed to cease as he heard the voice of the Creator one last time. Return to the earth, Enoch. Speak to men. Tell them that the judgment comes with waters that no giant can contain. But to those who keep the faith, I will give refuge in the heights." The vision dissipated, and Enoch opened his eyes to find himself once again among the fields of earth. The sun was setting, dyeing the horizon red like blood, while the distant sound of the Nephilim echoed, drums, screams, and blasphemies. Enoch walked to the top of a hill, seeing the smoke of burning cities in the distance. The wind blew strong and lightning scratched the sky as he raised his voice and shouted, "Repent, O men, for the waters will come and take with them the pride and the blood." But no one heard. Only the thunder replied, as if the sky itself confirmed his prophecy. And then the world began to tremble. A deep roar coming from the depths shook the soil, and the clouds turned like whirlwinds of fire. Enoch looked up and saw a curtain of light descending. The angels of judgment were already marching. The righteous man closed his eyes, wrapped in clarity, and his body was taken by the light, leaving the earth behind as he ascended to the eternal kingdom, sealing forever his name among those who walked with God. Then the skies opened in fire, and thunder tore the firmament apart. Rays of light crossed the clouds as angels descended in formation, wielding flaming swords. The earth trembled, the seas became furious, and men fled before the divine judgment. The Nephilim, those giants born of corruption, rose against the sky, but ahead of the sacred hosts, Michael descended like a burning star, followed by Gabriel and Raphael. The whole world burned between glory and ruin. In the valleys, Og, the greatest of the Nephilim, raised his spear of celestial iron and shouted, challenging the skies, but the angelic hosts replied in unison, their swords of light colliding with spears of sin. Michael brandished his sword and, invoking the name of the Most High, struck down the giant in flames. Gabriel commanded the angels in the storm of fire, while Raphael descended to the depths to bind Azazel. From on high, Semyaza observed the destruction with sorrow until Michael appeared before him. "You were the first to fall and the last to understand," said the archangel, casting him into the abyss. A deep silence covered the earth as heavy clouds formed, the prelude to the final judgment. Raphael declared, "The earth was washed in blood. Now it will be washed in waters." The divine gaze turned to Noah, who, amidst the mockery of men, raised the planks of the ark. Animals came 2 by 2, and the floodgates of the sky opened. The world was swallowed. On the mounts, the giants tried to resist, but even Og was swallowed by a colossal wave. Humanity clamored in vain, and Noah wept, "Lord, have mercy on them." But the voice replied, "The earth needs to be purified." For 40 days and nights the flood covered everything, cleaning the world of its corruption. Then came the silence. The ark floated on an endless ocean, and Noah released a dove which returned with a green branch. Hope. Noah built an altar, and God sent the first rainbow, a symbol of the eternal alliance that never again will the waters destroy all flesh. My brothers and sisters, just as God preserved Noah, He watches over you today. Remember this story and keep your faith strong. Thank you for watching this journey into truth. If this message touched your spirit, please subscribe to Bible Mysteries Africa, like this video, and share it with everyone you know so the light of wisdom can spread across our land.